What's up, you guys? Film Fan 0599 here again, and today we're going to review Origin of Symmetry by Muse. So, we're continuing the Muse reviews right along with their second studio album, Origin of Symmetry, which was released in 2001. And with this album, the band had to step up their game. People really enjoyed, their first album and stuff like that, including myself. I thought it was very good, but they needed to really up the ante a bit more with their second album. Show that they're, a very, very capable band. They showed that with the first album, but I feel like with their second album, they can do even more with it. And my God Almighty, did they, in spades, to be honest. Origin of Symmetry is one of the best follow-up albums, I think, ever, to be honest. Origin of Symmetry is an absolutely outstanding album. Honestly, it really is. It's an absolutely outstanding album. It is just, it blows everything out of the water what Showbiz did, honestly. Like, Origin of Symmetry, the band just upped their game so much more in this one than they did with their first album, to be honest. Like, they kind of sprinkled a lot more with creativity and stuff like that, and they tried so many things with this album, and it's great. Like, it really is. It's so fantastic. I love Origin of Symmetry a lot. It is a really amazing album, and it still holds up on, because I listened to the album twice last night before doing this review, and man, both times just so immersed into this album, so just infatuated with it because it's so amazing from everything with it, to be honest. And I think I really shouldn't waste any time. Let's just get right into what I love so much about this album. We're going to start off, of course, with the production. So the production here is infinitely better on this album. Like, I really like the production a lot on Showbiz, but there were some things that were kind of iffy with it, especially with them trying to sound a lot like Radiohead at a lot of points during that album. But here, they come into their own. I really do feel like they come into their own on this album and really break away from that. The production on here is probably the best production I've ever heard on a rock album. Seriously, the production on here, my God Almighty, I still don't know how they did it. I really don't. I still don't know how this band did it. And the band only consists of 3 members, and it sounds like 6 people are playing. Seriously, because there's so many things that they do in this album with the production. Like, seriously, like, there's so much stuff that they do in this album. They expand so much on this record. They really do. From just, guitar, bass, drums. No, there's like electronics, there's like pianos, it's like all over the place, but not in a bad way necessarily. It's actually really cool. And I really like that a lot about this album. The production sounds absolutely phenomenal on this. Everyone in the band steps up their game with this album. Matthew Bellamy, seriously, he comes into his own as a vocalist, a guitarist, and on this album, he really does. His guitar riffs are amazing on this. From Newborn to Hyper Music to Plug In Baby. Oh yeah, to Plug In Baby. And he does an amazing job with his guitar skills on here. They're absolutely amazing and a thing of beauty to listen to, honestly. Like, seriously, he comes into his own as a guitarist on this album, very much so, honestly. And leaving that gritty, muddy feel that they have at Showbiz and making much more of an alternative kind of rock vibe with it, which I really liked a lot, honestly. Almost space rock in a way, honestly. I really love that a lot with his guitar work on here, to be honest. And like I said, he's a very capable vocalist, and he really shows that a lot on this album. I thought his vocals were really good on Showbiz, but he even ups the ante even more on here in Origin of Symmetry and stuff like, Space Dementia, or, like I mentioned before, Plug In Baby, Screenurge, I believe that's how you say the title of that song, Feeling Good. Like, he really comes into his own as a vocalist on here, and the songs I just mentioned are pretty much like the main examples of that. And, and he does a really, Megalomaniac, also, like, he just does such a great job with his vocals on this album, and they are really fantastic, honestly. So yeah, he does an absolutely amazing job on here. Chris Wolstenholme, amazing. His bass work is even better on this. Like, I love his bass work on here. From, Bliss to Space, to, what was it, Newborn, Plug-in Baby. Like, his bass line is really fantastic on there. One of my favorite bass lines is on that song, to be honest. Like, I really love his bass work a lot. Really, like I said, makes his presence felt on the album, and he does a great job with that. And Dominic Howard goes hard on those drums on this record. He really does. Like, like I said, I liked his drumming on Showbiz, but I felt like he could have done a bit more. On here, he does. He really does. Like, he really comes into his own as a drummer on this, from stuff like Space Dementia or Hyper Music, Plug-in Baby. Like, seriously, drumming on those songs especially are really prominent, honestly. I really loved his drumming a lot on here. It is very aggressive, very hard-hitting, and it's awesome, honestly. And Dominic Howard does an absolutely amazing job as a drummer on here. It really does. Like, I love the presence that he has as a drummer on this album. And the mixing between all the instruments are great here as well. Like, the mixing of the guitar, the mixing of the bass, and the mixing of the drums. Like, it's all so perfect. And I'll talk about more about that with some of the tracks later on, but the mixing on here is absolutely beautiful. I really love how it's all mixed together, honestly, on this album, and they do such a perfect job with that on this record, to be honest. So yeah, the production, the absolute perfection, in my opinion. Like I said, it's probably the best production I've ever heard on a rock album, to be honest. I really loved how they did the production on this, and just upping the ante even more with themselves, like testing themselves, honestly, from what they did on Showbiz. And I felt like they succeeded in spades, to be honest. Like, I really love the production on this. So now on to the tracks. Now, some of the main prominent ones that I want to talk about are some of my favorites, the ones I come back to the most. So we're going to start off with those. And we're going to start off with Space Dementia. Space Dementia. Now, Muse tried, Muse's one of the primary things they're known for is making long, epic songs. And this was the first album to really show that they like making these long, epic songs. And there were 3 on here: Newborn, Space Dementia, and Citizen Erased. I love both Newborn and Citizen Erased. Those are phenomenal tracks, in my opinion. But out of those 3, Space Dementia is the one that stands out the most, in my opinion, because I just love that damn piano. That damn piano on this song is, whoo, holy moly. Like, and like I was saying before, they play around with a lot of things on here. The piano is one of those things. Matthew Bellamy is a great vocalist and guitarist. He's also a great pianist as well. Pianist, however you say. He's great at playing the piano. And it shows on this album. It really does. And this song, especially Space Dementia, really, really shows. And the mixing of the kind of somewhat electronics and the piano and the drums on here too. Dominic Howard's drums are absolutely fantastic here. Like, I love how they sound. They move to the rhythm of the piano beat. It's great. Like, the way that just it's handled is absolutely fantastic too. And the song's almost 6.5 minutes long, and there's never a time where I feel bored during the song, because I'm so invested in just the overall sound and the mesmerizing, voice of Matthew Bellamy, who sounds amazing on here. It's kind of like, almost like, he kind of sounds like he has his heart broken in a way on this. Like, I love just kind of the moodiness that he has in his voice with this song. Like, I love how it sounds during the verses. It's great. I love the verses as well here too. Like, I really love the kind of somewhat aggressiveness they have to them as well, and they are really fantastic, honestly. Like, I love how that's just executed so mixed perfectly with both the pianos, the drums, and somewhat of electronics that they have into the song. And when it kind of tones it down a bit during the hook, where it's kind of just soft and kind of slow, and there's some effects to Bellamy's vocals, are great. Like, it's so fantastic. And then when it builds right back up to that intenseness that has in the verses, it's great. And then that kind of just ominous ending that this song has is great. Like, I love how it just kind of goes into this static, just ending in this fuzziness. And it's great. Like, it's just a perfect song all around. I feel like a lot more people should talk about this song, to be honest. I think it's a song that really gets often overlooked, to be honest. Like, it's such a phenomenal song, in my opinion. And it's my favorite out of, like, the epic tracks that are on this album, to be honest. Because, dang, man, just this song feels so epic and so just grandiose, in my opinion, honestly. And what makes that very prominent is, honestly, the piano. I think without the piano, I don't think this song would be as epic as it is. And just the piano adds so much to it. And Matthew Bellamy does an absolutely fantastic job with the piano on here, on this song. And yeah, it's a phenomenal song, in my opinion. Definitely one of my absolute favorites and one I come back to multiple times. Now, the next song I want to talk about is Hyper Music. Hyper Music was actually the song that really got me hooked on this album. Because I didn't hear the album at first. This was when I was still trying to get into Muse. And I heard this was the first song I actually heard off of this album. And, man, what a first song to listen to, I guess, off of the album and stuff. Because this song is just rocking. It is just rocking out, and I love that. And, with that guitar riff, the bam, bam, like, just that pattern. I love it. It's great. Like, it just adds so much to the song. And the heavy bass, the heavy drums, like, the mixing, like I was talking about beforehand, is really prominent in this song. And another song that I'll get into later. But the mixing here is great. I love how the drums, the bass, and the guitar just mix so well together. Honestly, like, it's a thing of beauty, to be honest. And it's just so intense, honestly. Like, it really is. Like, it has this very intense, aggressive vibe with it. And, when you sing in the verses and stuff like that, it isn't as aggressive. It's not really slowing down, but once they get to that chorus, with the now, like, and just that, and then it goes back to that pattern of the bam, 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 it goes back to that pattern. And just that aggressiveness, where he's like, I don't want you. Like, he's just singing that very aggressively and so angrily. Like, he's like, I don't need this person. I don't have no more affection for you. I don't need you in my life. And so just badass, honestly. Like, just the way he just delivers it is so cool, and it's so aggressive, honestly. And just shows how much the band can really make a very intense song perfectly. Like, they're one of those bands that just knows how to make a perfectly intense song, and that shows very primarily on Hyper Music, to be honest. Like, Hyper Music shows, like, the intense motive that the band can have, and it's very fantastic. Like, that aggressive guitar riff, that aggressive bass line, and that aggressive drum line just shows that very primarily in those aggressive lyrics. Aggressive is basically the main word you could use with this song. It's absolutely phenomenal. I absolutely love Hyper Music so much. It's easily one of my favorites off of the album, and just one of my favorites from the band in general. It's a song I primarily come back to a lot for a good reason, because it's just a song you can rock the hell out to and just feel so immersed by all the aggressiveness that's going on with it. And the last one I want to primarily talk about is Plug-in Baby. Plug-in Baby is my absolute favorite song off this album. I know it's a cliche to say because it's basically the most popular song off the album, but I can't help it, man. I really can't. Just the song is perfect. Absolute perfection, honestly. And Hyper Music transitions actually into Plug-in Baby, and the transition with it is absolutely perfect. I love the transition with it and how it just plays into it so perfectly, honestly. And you hear that guitar riff where it's going like, just that guitar riff. Oh, that guitar riff. Oof. That guitar riff is a thing of beauty. Okay, listen. That is like top 5 favorite guitar riffs of all time for me. Easily the best guitar riff the band Matt has ever done, to be honest. Like, I really think it's probably the best guitar riff he's ever done. Just the sound and just, ooh, just the way he plays in with the song, just, I can't, sorry, just that guitar riff, man, is amazing. I love it so much. Like, it's so great. Like, I get a giggly feeling every time I listen to it, okay? Because just that guitar riff is amazing. And the way that it just plays in with the song is fantastic. And what's weird is he doesn't play it during the verses. He only plays it during, like, the chorus and, like, the instrument breakdowns and stuff like that. Not during the verses, which I find very interesting, but it actually fits. I like it because what elevates it in the verses is the bass line. You know, the bass line is great here too. Has a very just kind of heavy vibe with it. And I really love the bass line on here too. Definitely one of my favorite bass lines from Chris is on this song. I really love how his bass kind of sounds very heavy and electronic in a way, and it's very great. And adds a lot to the song, honestly. I really love how his bass line really sounds with it, especially when we're getting down to, you know, when it's just sounding very minimum, when the guitar is kind of out of the picture during the verses, and you know, you're just hearing the bass and the drums, and it sounds really great. And Matthew Bellamy's vocal work as well, which is also fantastic on the song too. I really like how his voice kind of sounds, how he kind of goes into like a high pitch merit sometimes during the song, especially during the end of it. And it's great. Like, I love how soothing it sounds in a bit of a way during the verses too. Like, he's like, I've exposed your eyes. Like, it kind of sounds like that, you know. And it's great. Like, I really love how he sounds during the verses, and then when the chorus comes around, it just goes all aggressive, and you know, it's just fantastic. Like, the way he sings that chorus, in my opinion, and it's really great, honestly. And also the drumming here too. I can't really outshine the drumming on this too. The drumming is phenomenal, and I love just how Dominic Howard is just pounding on those drums, and it's great. Like, I really love how it fits with the pattern of the beat with the guitar riff and the bass line, honestly, and it's fantastic. Like, Plug-in Baby, it's just absolute perfection, honestly. It's an absolutely perfect song, and it talks about, really, the lyrics in the song really talk about how technology, like the fear of technology taking over, honestly. And they talked about that in the song Newborn as well, but it's also primarily shown here on Plug-in Baby. I really like them a lot here as well. I think the lyrics are great as well. Like, I really love how they talk about that subject matter, and the way that they talk about it in the song is actually really good, in my opinion. I think they do a really solid job with it, honestly. Like, I do think how the lyrics really fit in with the song are very good, in my opinion, especially with like all the instrumentation and stuff like that. It's just a perfect song, in my opinion, honestly. I really do think so. Plug-in Baby is just absolute perfection, honestly. It's a great song. It's easily my favorite song off of this record, and it's just really amazing, in my opinion, honestly. It really is. It's just an overall perfect song. Like, yeah, honestly, like, easily my favorite off of the album. Really fantastic song. And some other ones I enjoy off of this album, like I mentioned before, Newborn, Scissor and Rice. Those are both like great, like, epic tracks. Bliss, very good. I really love that song a lot as well. The cover of Feeling Good, one of the best covers out there, to be honest. Like, I really love that cover of Feeling Good. I actually honestly think it's better than the original, to be honest. I really love that cover a lot. And yeah, just some other tracks I do enjoy off that album are really, really great, like Micro Cuts. That's a great song too. So yeah, the songs on here are really fantastic. The track listing overall is really great, in my opinion. I really love the track listing on here. Definitely some of the best tracks that the band has to offer are on this album. So overall, Origin of Symmetry is one of the best follow-up albums that's out there, in my opinion. I really do think so. It is an absolutely outstanding album, in my opinion, and one of the best that the band has to offer. You know, Showbiz, like I said before, is a really good debut album, but with Origin of Symmetry, I really felt like the band really came into their own and showed, hey, we're not Radiohead minus 2.0, we're actually our own creation. I really love that a lot, and they really came into their own on this album. It's absolutely fantastic, from the production to the track listing to just everything about this album is so perfect. The mixing with the instruments, the band members themselves, you know, with Matt with his vocal work, his guitar work, his piano work, Dominic Howard with his drumming, or Chris Wilson home with his bass work. Absolutely fantastic, honestly. Like, seriously, this album is so perfect in my opinion, and just one of the true, just absolute achievements of the band's career, and I really do think this is the overall perfect album. So it's time for my official rating on Origin and Symmetry, and my official rating on Origin and Symmetry is a big old 5 out of 5. This, in my opinion, really is a perfect album, to be honest. Just this album, everything about it is perfect. Like I said, has probably the best production I've ever heard on a rock album. The track listing is absolutely incredible. Just overall, this album is perfection, and one of the best things the band has ever done, in my opinion. Just one I can always come back to so often because just of how great it is, and just shows like the band at some of its truest form. I really love that a lot. So yeah, Origin Symmetry, beyond phenomenal album in my opinion, and really deserves a 5 out of 5. So that's going to do it for my review of Origin and Symmetry. I should have my review of Absolution out in, I don't know, but it should be out pretty soon. So yeah, so what did you guys think of this album, and what's your favorite song off of Origin and Symmetry? Please let me know in the comment section below. I'm FilmFan0599, and we'll see you all later. Peace.